Good evening, class. Today I will be discussing about the structuralism and semiotics. So the title of the story, it's all about the story of an hour by Kate Chopin. But before that, here are the proponents of the structuralism. So first proponents is si Ferdinand de Saussure. So Ferdinand de Saussure, which is the father of the modern linguistic, and he introduced the two parts of sign. So the first sign, which is the signifier, the second sign, which is the signified. So when we say signifier, which is the word or the symbol, while the signified, which is the meaning of that word, like just like for example kanang rose. So rose, which is the signifier, well the signified, which is the meaning of the rose. So unsa may mga meaning sa rose, so just like for example love or kanang romance. Okay, so the second proponents si Roland Barthes. So Roland Barthes, which is he applied structuralism to literature and culture. And he showed that stories, advertisements, and media use signs and symbols to create meaning. The third proponents is si Claude Levi Strauss. As he applied structuralism to myths and cultures. He discovered that stories from different cultures follow similar patterns and structures. So those are the proponents. So now let's proceed to the next. Structuralism in English literature began in the early 20th century. So which is it developed from the linguistic theories of Ferdinand de Saussure, and it was later expanded by the Roland Barthes and Claude Levi Strauss. So in which means ang structuralism, which is began in early 20 20th century, and then the first development, which is the Ferdinand de Saussure's, which is he is a linguistic theory that language is a system of signs. So his ideas with later na-expand nila ni Roland Barthes and si Claude and Levi Strauss, which is gi-applied nila into structuralism to literature and culture. So here are the descriptions of structuralism. Structuralism is a literary theory that studies the structure of a text, and it believes that meaning comes from the relationship between the elements, which is such as language, symbols, and patterns. So it is a literature depicting emotional matter, which is an imaginative form siya, in which means structuralism, which is studies the structure of a text and also believes meaning, which is comes from a relationship between two elements, or like kanang language, symbols. It does not focus on emotions, which is a literature that have an emotional matter or an imaginative form belongs to romanticism, not an structuralism. The difference between the romanticism and structuralism, the structuralism, which is the structure or the opposite of that word, just like for example joy versus sadness and life versus death. So those are the example of the structuralism, while the romanticism, which is it focuses on the emotion, individual feelings, or an imagination. Okay, so here are the key features of the structuralism. First is nag-focus siya on a language and symbols. Second is the opposition between light versus death. The third one is the meanings comes from the relationship between two signs. The Story of an Hour by Kate Chopin. Mrs. Louise Mallard is a woman with a heart trouble. Si Mrs. Louise, which is she has an a heart disease or heart trouble. One day, her sister Josephine tells her that her husband, Brentley Mallard, died in a train accident. The news originally came from Richard, which is the Brentley's friend. Because Louise has a heart trouble, Josephine tells her sister Louise, tells her gently. At first, Louise which is cry. She feels very sad, which is this is a normal reaction of a wife of who just lost her husband. But when she go to her room alone, something changes. While sitting by the window, she begins to think about her future, and she realized that now she is free. She will not have to follow her husband anymore. She can make her own decisions. She can live for herself. That's why she whisper free. While outside the window, she sees blue sky, fresh air, and the birds singing. So these are symbols of a new beginning, hope, and also freedom. It shows that she feels emotionally alive, and but suddenly her husband Brantley comes home alive. So which is nabuhi ang iyang husband. He was not in the accident. When Louis sees him, she collapses and dies. Siya noon ang namatay si Louis. And the doctors say she died of a heart disease, of a joy that kills. But the deeper meaning the deeper meaning is that she died from shock and disappointment, because her freedom disappeared. So it's a very sad, very emotional. No, the end of the story. So that's all the story. So the analysis of structuralism, which is life versus death. Life versus death is the opposition. The story shows that the husband's death gives Louise emotional life. Yeah. And the husband's return, which is causes her physical death, which is that this shows that emotional freedom is very important to Louise. So the structure of the story, which is the story follows these patterns. First is a sadness. Second is the realization and freedom, and also a sudden reversal. First is she is sad, and second, she realized that she is free. And the third, and she feels hope and happiness. Finally, a shocking twist happens. When we say a sudden reversal, it creates surprise and a deeper meaning. It shows how quickly life can change in just 1 hour. And why it is called the story of an hour? So, ano man kuno nga ang story, the title of the story is an hour. Just because it is called the story of an hour because everything happens within 1 hour. In that short time, Louis experiences sadness, freedom, shock, and namatay siya. Death. So that's the end of the story, and thank you for listening and have a great day, class.